So, one of the stereotypes about women is that they tend to compare themselves to other women a lot. So, it is something that happens a lot during school and college, and it's always this thing where women can't be girls can't be like good friends, and it made me really wonder what the reason could be, because this is also feedback that I got from like a lot of boys that I used to hang out with, that women tend to feel really insecure or jealous, or they compare themselves to other women a lot, and it made me really wonder what the reason could be. So I thought about it, and I thought that okay, I'm sure there must be a reason for it if the stereotype is in fact true. Like there are a lot of stereotypes about men also, but we'll get into it later. Why is it that women tend to feel this way? So now, if we go back in time, we will understand and we will realize that it was always men who were educated, and they were literate, they could read. So a lot of content that was created from the perspective of a man. So even this is something I recently understood. Seema Anand, who talks extensively on Kama Sutra, who's like a sex expert, said that Kama Sutra was written for a man because women during that time didn't read. So a lot of content was created from the perspective of men. Now, while women have started to get educated, this remains as is. Even the content today, which is created in pornography or in social media or in movies, all of it is created, not all of it, but majorly it's created from a man's standpoint. And that's just how it would be in a patriarchal society, that if the consumers, the main content consumers, happen to be men, which is not true anymore, then most of the content will be created for them. So now you have to understand that there is a reason for why there are so many item songs where women are dancing in a certain way, or there is a lot of need to be explicit in their pictures, because they are constantly being made to feel that they always have to be the sexiest, they have to be the hottest, they have to be the most good looking in order for them to get that space. So they tend to compete a lot on the way they look, because for the longest time they've been told that's what they should be competing on. Now, if you remove this and you put money in the picture, and this is through my own experience, men will tend to get really insecure if it's got anything to do with their income and how wealthy their family is, because for the longest time they've been told that's what their job is, that's what their role is. So for them it's very important that they are always the person who earns the best, who's capable of providing for the family in the best possible manner. So they feel that that is the area where they compete. But for women, because they're primarily reduced to sexuality, if you go back in time, you would realize that women are primarily looked as sexual beings, and that there's a reason for it. Somewhere in the introduction of feminism, what happened was that land had to be distributed, or if you take wars, for example. So women became that gender who was capable of producing kids so that they could either acquire land or fight wars, like the kids could fight wars. So they had to produce babies. So something about their body then became very important in terms of the honor of the man, of the clan that she was a part of, and if she would be able to give them offsprings who will further fight and be able to conquer, or be able to conquer a land in a particular case. So that sexuality became something which started to get objectified, which we see still gets continued in a different manner. So when they are, and this is a conditioning, and it's not that women might always be conscious of it, this is a conditioning that has happened, and through memories, through our memory, which has been passed on to us by generations, it's very normal for a woman to want to compete basis her looks, because that's what she's been taught for the longest time. So when people say that women tend to be very insecure or they're jealous or whatever, they're comparing themselves to other people because they're fighting for a man's attention, which is very, very sad, because women don't have to. They really don't have to. However, they don't realize this is happening consciously. It happens in a very subtle way. They don't realize it. But they've always been told that, they have to fight with other women in order to get ahead and get that man's attention that they really want. And it's something that we've all been a part of. So let's take a step back. Let's not get upset about why a man's so insecure about his income or the way he looks, or about apparently his dick size, and why a woman is so fixated with the way she looks. uh, because there is a reason behind it, and the kind thing to do is to accept that reason as a given and be that gender who comforts them. If your woman feels insecure or she starts to compare herself to other women, that is your, it becomes your responsibility, not always, not in extreme cases, but to understand that, yeah, this is something that she's been raised with, not just from from her parents' standpoint, but something that she's been taught for a really long time. And I will have to be kind to that. And similarly, women have to be kind to understanding that status, income, power, money are things that men associate themselves with, and that becomes very important to them. So if sometimes men feel insecure, which they do just as much as women, if they tend to feel that there is another guy competing with him on different areas, they also get equally insecure. So that's your responsibility as a partner to figure out how you want to comfort them. So every stereotype has a reason, and let's look into it and get deeper in understanding why these things play out psychologically.